Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on the show now to discuss the insecurity in the Southeast is a Nigerian professor and a former chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Maurice Iwu. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good to have you, sir. So we are quite concerned about all that is happening in the Southeast. And we know that recently you spoke saying that everybody in the Southeast must take responsibility because all citizens have fallen short because they've been quiet most of the time. Now, as we are today, many people feel quite unsafe going to the Southeast or even those living in the communities. In your view, what can the governor begin to do to get peace back into the state going forward?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, first of all, we really feel very sad that our normally quiet zone and very quiet state has become almost a theater of war. We are really regret and condemn completely the unnecessary loss of lives. If people died in a proper war, then that would be understandable. But to be at your own home and then suddenly get killed, or the military and police people who are doing their normal official duties and we are being hacked to death, that is really, really very bad. What is happening in the South is because of relativity. Southeast is usually very calm. So because of the relativity, it seems as if the place is falling. But when you look in terms of actual numbers, nothing is really too bad now in the Southeast. It just happened that because the relatively quiet place, people are concerned that this is not us. We are really alarmed at what's happening in the Southeast. Right. And our own approach is to be able to look at the root causes. That is why the IMO Economic Development Initiative, which is an umbrella body that has most of the big players in the industry that are for Imo State, the academia, the former, those who are in the civil service at the certain level, and retired military personnel, they are all part of the IMO Economic Development Initiative. The idea here is for us to galvanize our rank and file and be able to bring in private sector investment in the state. As we noted earlier, the three segments of development that we know, politics is very important, but the two others, namely economy and information, they are actually in the private hands. So if we can have a good political structure, then we can be able to advance our state further through the economic input from our own citizens and so on.
Right. Okay, Professor Maurice Iwu, I would like to know exactly the steps the Southeast governors are taking to quell the situation in the Southeast. A few weeks back, they promised that they were going to have a conversation, a roundtable talk with young people to get their grievance and find a way forward. But so far, I haven't heard anything like that. Is that plan still in progress?
Our approach is slightly different. There is leadership and there is authority. The governors here, they have authority, but leadership is on our own shoulders. So what we have started to do is to be able to design an elaborate program to be able to rejig the entire system. The governors are doing consultations with their people as we speak. But the onus is on all the people who are actually in the positions of being leaders in our communities. One big thing that happens for you to be able to have influence without any authority is the best thing that can happen, so that you can appeal to people all across the rank and file. Yesterday, we had a Zoom meeting. Imolites from all over the world tuned in, and they were bashing us, they were cursing us, they were abusing us. Good. And if they didn't abuse us at that age, then something was definitely wrong. When they are young, they're supposed to be radical. They're supposed to be able to challenge the system. They're supposed to interrogate whatever we say. And that we welcome. It is then for us to now profile solutions and which we are profiling. This matter that we are suffering now was actually years of neglect by the successive governments, not just one government. Yeah. We did shout 5 years ago when the Governor Richard Okorocha was in government that the situation where Imo State was 34 out of 36 in the ease of doing business was not good enough. A situation where we had such high unemployment was not good enough. All that was needed was a trigger, and the trigger was provided by these recent events. And then the people just went on to start killing themselves and also being killed by outsiders, which is the sad thing about it. The social media has not also helped. 3/4 of the news you read in social media are all false. People stay in their bedrooms and concoct stories and post. So what we are saying is actually that, yes, it's easy for us to sit back and blame the governors, but those days are gone. We are exaggerating the nation state. The days of authority and hand-down colonial mentality, those days are gone. We are in the modern era, for goodness sake. You can actually govern from your bedroom. You'll be able to communicate with people and tell them what is right and what is wrong, and be able to influence people by sheer logic, not by power, not by authority. So we are taking the power, taking our own security in our own hands.
Professor, I want us to touch on the macro issues that many people in the Southeast are agitating about, especially issue of long-term marginalization, secession, neglect. Now, these are issues that goes across the entire region. In your view, as we're trying to quell the tension in Imo, what can be done to have a conversation with the federal government to see exactly a unified position of the agitators and the people that are being governed? What exactly is our position as Southeasterners? What do we want? What's the best case scenario in this situation?
Freedom is one of those zero-sum games that people cannot take any substitute for it. People want to be free. But freedom does not necessarily mean that people are going to be outside the reach. We are living in a civilized society where governance and rule of law is paramount. For example, if we don't have the police people in our midst, we will be lost. We will actually be in greater danger. So what is happening now, that there are some very legitimate grievances, and some are perceived. And sometimes we all have children and grandchildren. Sometimes it's just perception and how you treat the child. If, for example, you give a child a particular notice that please go out or come home before 6 o'clock, you don't need to put the person on a leash. The child, invariably, because you have been able to give him some trust, will be able to behave the way you want. But if you now take a cane and sit at the door, the child will divide the way of going outside you. So there are perceived grievances, there are some real grievances. But the point we are making, for some reason, I don't know how it has not sunk into some people's head, that the way some people are going about it through violence, you cannot achieve that particular objective through violence. And that is the key, that you need to negotiate. How about, even if you are not negotiating and you are talking to somebody who is not listening? Luckily for us, in the Southeast, we are gifted with that entrepreneurial spirit. We will survive even if we are not getting our own due share. It's not enough for us to kill ourselves because we are being discriminated against. I don't even see the logic. It doesn't make sense at all. Yes, we have grievances, legitimate grievances, but the way out of it is for us to now look inwards. Luckily for us, as I said, we have very smart people, entrepreneurs, and so on. And I also look, sorry to sound like this, but when you look across the entire country, I've traveled far and wide. The Southeast is still the place where you have the highest quality of life because our people are self-sustaining. We can take care of ourselves. So yes, it's good for governance, but the government, we are fighting about something that is anachronistic. The days of nation state are gone. What is important is what skills do you have? What can you offer to the table, and so on. So what we are more interested in the macro level is to be able to empower our children, to be able to empower our people so they can compete with the rest of the world. Now we have the African Union going into African free trade. Our sons are in Ghana, Kenya, and so on. We want them to be able to have skills they can transfer and be able to trade with the rest of the world. That is the it. So still fighting about something that is gone and going is, to me, is a waste of time and human life that have been lost.
All right.
What we need now is for us all to come together and then move forward.
All right, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we still have Professor Maurice Iwu with us. Yes, Toko, you had a question before the break.
Yes, so Professor, you mentioned earlier that the leadership is not a power issue, it's the people. But we've seen that the issue on ground so far is based on the fact that people have lacked leadership in the right context. And suddenly, someone else stepped in the gap in person of Nnamdi Kanu and IPOB and created the drama we are seeing playing out in loss of lives across many states within the Southeast, in burning of police stations, burning of INEC offices across many states within the Southeast, in the breaking of jails. So if change cannot happen until you take responsibility, I believe that the governors within the state, the House of Representatives, the senators must take responsibilities for their lack of leadership, being what has led to there being a vacuum in communicating with the people about your plans and the fact that you care and the fact that you are working tenaciously towards them, so that there will be no need for someone else to come into the scene and take that space. Do you see a leadership responsibility crisis within the Southeast at the elms of affairs that is what has caused the problem now? And do you think that it is the people that will solve the problem and not the leaders that will still come and take responsibility for their issues and then let people know that we have failed you, we will step up and take responsibility now?
Yeah, I said that earlier. The governors do have a role to play, but their role is being exaggerated. We own our zone, we own our state. Nnamdi Kanu may be very influential. He may have filled a gap, as you rightly said. But the whole problem is multifaceted. There are some local players who are also taking advantage of what is happening to advance their own political causes. That is something we cannot forget. There are also some people who are also on the federal side who are not living up to their terms of engagement, the rules of their own discipline. So it's a whole multiplicity of things. Then there's also the frustrated youth. That's where we take full responsibility that we have failed them. Because if we, for example, 8 years ago, when this matter started, we had insisted, when the IMO Economic Development Initiative was formed, for example, the whole idea was to be able to wrestle the governor at the time down and tell him, no, you cannot go like this. Can you even imagine that even the federal intervention funds, we didn't even draw from them in that time. So in 2007, we had enough. 2017, rather, we had enough. We now had to go to the government. That time it was seen as if we were trying to oppose them. No. Luckily for us so far, the group that we have been able to interact with the governments that have come and gone. We were very tight with Rocha's Okorocha. Last time when Emeka Nyedoha was in government, we had about 12 or so of our own members who were part of that government. But what we do, once you're in government, you take a leave, and once you finish, then you come back. Because we are so committed in the private sector-led development. This is the only thing that is sustainable. During the time of COVID-19, for example, the only laboratory we had in the Southeast was done by a private person in Imo State. And all we did from our own point is to make sure that he got the machines he needed, got licensing and so on, so that he was able to test people for COVID-19. So back to your question, yes, it is a gap that was being cynically exploited. Cynical is the word, because as I said, there is no way violence can get them anything that they are asking for.
Right.
There is no way any government anywhere in the world will allow you to terrorize these people and not react.
Okay.
So I agree with you to an extent, but the rule of the governors has been exaggerated.
Right.
We are the leadership, we are the people. We take full responsibility for what has happened in the past, and we have plans to make sure that those things are taken care of.
All right, let me get a few more questions in for you. Go ahead, YK.
Yeah, I want to deviate from this a little, but before I do, I just want to ask, the Igbos, they suffered during the last war, and
yes,
the people of your age, my age, would not want a repeat of that.
yes.
How come this wasn't communicated to the younger ones? So that what is happening now could have been, because Igbos are the most enterprising people, I think, in my own estimation, in Nigeria. And the cause of that was as a directly from the war, because they decided to be independent. So Igbos are financially independent, really. How did your own generation not communicate this to the younger ones?
Let me correct one impression that is fast gaining ground. We are not saying that there shouldn't be war because of what happened in 1967, 1968 to 1970. No. Let nobody make that mistake. It's not based on fear of what happened. The dynamics are totally different. So let nobody in Nigeria fool himself that the Southeast will now be able to suffer worse than they did before. No, no, no. That impression should go out from anybody's mind. The fact that war does not pay, not because we have suffered before, so we don't want that. No, we can't embed that kind of fear on our children. That would be cowardice. What we are saying that war itself is not a good thing. It does not matter whether you are in a tactical advantage now. Those advantages erode and disappear within no time. You may think that you have all the tactical advantages to be able to wage a war. At the end of the day, a war that is fought in your territory, you can never win, because at the end of the day, the damage you have to repair, the damage is yours, the psychological trauma is there to be able to last with you for a long time. So ours is on a very empirical level.
Yeah.
That war itself is not something we have tested. It is not a way to use
right. So let me then ask you a very
not from point of view of the Southeast that suffered before, don't suffer again. No, no, no.
Okay.
There are certain conditions that can first people today. They have no other choice, but we don't want to go there. So let no Nigerian ever think that one particular sector will be spared. It doesn't happen. The dynamics of 2021 is different, totally different from 1967.
Right.
So let nobody.
Okay. Point taken, sir. But let me ask you this very direct question, because many elder statesmen have reiterated the need to renegotiate our relationship across board. So many are saying we need to jettison the current constitution and go back to the 1963 constitution, saying that we must go back to the drawing board. Do you agree? Do you share this sentiment, or are you on the side of complete and total secession?
I'm not in favor of secession, neither do I get too much involved in direct politics. I remember I told that there are three segments or three fundamental pillars to development. One is politics, the other two are economy, and then information. I have for a long time removed myself completely from the partisan politics, that is. But the other two is where I'm actively involved, namely, how do we restore our people's self-determination in terms of economic power? How do we help them to be able to be in the information age? Now what we have is informatics. The age of informatics is so important that whoever has data has life. Whoever is able to create platform that people can use, the person can be able to do a lot of things. My only two group that we manage, we're able to do research projects for Americans and Europeans and so on. Not because that they are not able to do it in their places, but because they believe that we can do it smarter and better. And that's why they are actually asking for our help. So I'm more interested in the other two segments. The political aspect, if Nigerians want to have it done one way or the other, I'm all for it. But the point I'm making that the nation state is an anachronistic idea. It has gone. So the whole idea of wasting a lot of time in those debates, to me, is a waste of time, because the critical thing is empower our youth, because we have to make preparation for next generation Nigerians. And that is the thinking that governs my mind. And what it means that we have to make sure that our graduates come out from graduate school being able to have skills that they can trade with the rest of the world. It doesn't matter whether you're able to reduce yourself to Abia State, Sokoto State, or being one country or the other. It doesn't really matter. Okay. But at the end of the day, Africa is not doing well, and we should be able to remove those shackles from ourselves, self-imposed shackles. Those debates, to me, are actually wagging the dog. When people have no idea, they start all this argument about political issues because they are bereft of ideas. We should lift our world, we should lift Africa beyond where we are. And that is the excuse they are using in action, is all these debates.
All right, very well.
Okay, so Professor, I want to find out your view concerning the chairman of Ebubagu that recently resigned. He alleged that the governors had not come together to provide funds for the security outfits. Now, what's the hope that this, at the inception, somebody's already resigning? What hope do we have that they will be able to solve the issues in the southeast?
It was very unfortunate that General Omahi resigned, but again, that's what I was telling you earlier. We are violating the whole idea of the authorities in terms of the governors and so on. Yes, they are very important, but they are not the leadership alone. The leadership is all of us, and there could have been way out of that, which I don't want to get into now. But the issue there is that we have a lot more going for us because of our tradition and customary ways of doing things. It will be difficult for anybody to come to the Southeast because of our way of doing things and do some of those mayhem and get away with it. You can see that all the destruction that's going on is mainly very cheap targets. You go to police stations, people who are supposed to be guarding us, you go and attack them and so on. But the way our family structure, the way we live, is difficult for you. We don't have that kind of forest you have in the Northwest or the Southwest. We don't have that kind of forest in the Southeast. So we have a different security issue. And our customary method of doing things, we check those things. As I say, it's unfortunate that the general resigned, but he shouldn't have resigned because of the governors. Governors are not the states. We are the people.
Right.
And he shouldn't have forgotten that.
Okay.
So I totally disagree
All right.
with resigning.
Anyway.
Yeah, excuse me, sir. You said in your statement that you are not partisan, and you are you used to be with the Independent National Electoral, but now they are giving it a national commissioner to somebody who is obviously partisan. What's your opinion?
No opinion whatsoever. That's again politics. Thank you.
All right, on that note, any questions?
No, sir.
Right.
No
Okay, so on that note, thank you very much, sir. So you don't want to mention on Loretta's nomination?
That
nomination.
That hints partisanship, sir. For a non-partisan person, sir.
You say, is this part? I didn't get the question again.
It hints your unwillingness to give an opinion on the fact that Loretta is being nominated to be commissioner for INEC in a state. The fact that you don't want to give opinion might seem partisan.
From a purely patriotic point of view, if my opinion is sought by government, I will give my opinion. But my opinion has not been sought. If it is based on my experience in the place and all that, what INEC does and is doing very well. INEC is quite technical. It's a robust organization. And if you bear that in mind, then most of these super layers and so on, they don't really have much power. As I said, the role of even the chairman of INEC is, again, not properly understood by a lot of people. The people who do the work are mainly the technocrats, and they are doing a very good job. Not really appreciated, but they are really doing a good job. So if, in terms of appointments, if my opinion is sought, I will. And it's usually not based because I worked there before. It will really be wrong for me to make public comments about the organization.
That's understood, sir. Understood. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go on a break. Let's go on a break now. We'll come back. The hottest news that would have been on Twitter, but now it's on Instagram. Stay with us. We'll be right back.